A lot of people ask us, like what is Nebraska Gambler? Like, what in the world does that mean? Like, where did you get that? And honestly, it was just kind of a couple like random things. We had ideas for like band names, and we just kind of mixed like some of our favorite, like television shows and like stuff like that. It was really just random, but like at the end of the day, it's kind of like personifies something that's like bigger than ourselves.
Meeting Coniff specifically because it was on move-in day, the first day of college, and he comes running down the hall. I won't say what he said, but he said something, and he was just like yelling it. And I'm like, that kid is strange. I wonder who he is.
I started out as an alto saxophone player, and I was also in the choir at the time, and it was really just something they made you do, and so I wasn't like big into it. And when I moved to public school, the band program was like tenfold, like just way better than the private school. And so I practiced, they force you to practice, you'd have to turn in a practice sheet, and sometimes I'd forge it because I really did not enjoy practicing saxophone, but through that I did become good at it, and that was all through like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I played in 2 of the jazz bands through 2 of those years. And then once I got into high school, I joined the marching band, and that was probably one of the greatest experiences I've done.
For me, since it's been a part of, basically who I am since I've been little, it's always just kind of been something that I've turned to in my spare time, or, if I need something to do, if I need an outlet for something. And I think that for a lot of people, music is that outlet. Music is that place or that sound that you can go to, when there's not a lot else to go to, whether it's worship music or easy listening or, whatever it may be, people can retreat, into the solitude of themselves listening to music. And, for me, that's part of the thing about music that attracts me to it. I can take part in that. I can contribute to someone's experience of, being able to sit back and listen and just absorb and appreciate, the musical talent and the ability and the sounds and the places where the songs take them is really just awesome, and what kind of attracts me, I think, to be able to do what I do.
Well, back in high school, like my freshman year, I picked up a guitar. I really didn't know what I wanted to do with it. It was just a fun little hobby, but it never went anywhere for like a year, maybe 2 years, until I met up with this band later in high school when I moved to Illinois, and then I formed a band with this worship band at church. And after that, I just started playing around with them. We did like Christian rock covers as well as just standard worship songs, but so that made me get a lot more experience with it. Other than that, though, it just practicing like crazy, but nothing super professional until Nebraska Gambler came along, and then just sort of practiced with them. Kind of figured out that I knew guitar, and after that, it just sort of escalated and escalated.
Music's been a huge part of my family. Both my parents, they traveled around the country actually in the 80s, and they were in a singing group. Both of them were music ministers, and so that played into it. And so we've always been musical, me and my 2 brothers, younger brothers. And I did piano since I was a kid. My mom got me started on that, and carried out through high school, really. I also played trumpet as a kid, but I mean, that wasn't a huge thing. And here and there played bass in a worship band. So, a lot of different instruments. I feel like if you give me an instrument, I can figure it out. And been singing most of my life, doing show tunes like in musicals, such as Oliver or Les Mis, Music Man, a ton of different musicals, probably around 30. So that's been a huge part of my life.
I like music that either has a great message that's encouraging, or is very transparent with the artists telling their story and stuff that they've gone through, or music that just takes you to a different place in your mind, that you can just sit back and relax and forget about the worries and stuff of everyday life. And that's kind of what if I had an overall goal for music, for my music, would be to touch people in that way, and that they could, be encouraged, because there's a lot of music out there that's very dark, and people just listen to it, and it's just, it has a negative effect on them. And I want my music to be encouraging and to lift people up, as well as being truthful in stuff that's going on in my life and my struggles, so people can relate, and also just like the sounds to take you to different places and to make you feel like different things. Because honestly, I can listen to some music and it just makes me feel like I'm on top of the world, like nothing can stop me. And then there's other music that you listen to, you're like, man, that's rough, like what the artist had to go through and stuff like that. And it's just great to see different views on the same thing, different views of music and how it relates to different people.
I am the lead guitar player and one of the main, I guess, writers for the band. It kind of just started with a project that me and Dallas here did with my friend in Indianapolis who owns a recording studio. We went there and we sent him a demo of one of our songs that we all had played in Chestnut's room on campus, actually. And we sent him a demo and he loved it and wanted us to do a little demo song for him and his company so he could get some more exposure. And so we went there, it was Thanksgiving break. So we went there for Thanksgiving break and we just went in and in one day had the majority of the entire Love Is a Battle recorded. So senior year we actually lost the state championship but ended up winning a national championship, and with the highest score ever in the history of Bands of America. Really though, that kind of ended, I guess, my career as a saxophone player. I started picking up guitar senior year of high school, and it really just became my main instrument because it was something I enjoyed practicing. I honestly didn't know you could make music that way because I grew up very into DC Talk and Newsboys. So when I heard someone playing the guitar this way, I needed to know how.
And music I feel like it's just a part of my DNA, who I am. So that's why I'm always doing something musical, singing, playing instruments. It's a huge part of who I am.
All those experiences really shaped where I'm at now with Nebraska Gambler and just playing my own stuff on guitar, writing my own stuff. And I also started playing for North Point last semester at church, and that's been an incredible experience. And now it's pretty much, it's like a release, and it's the best way I think I express myself. So not through words, not through any sort of other medium other than playing my instrument. I can just get on stage or just go in my room, even tiny little amp to a huge amp, and just whatever I'm playing, it's just an expression of the way I'm feeling or what I'm going through. And so it's really just become a part of me. Maybe there are some people out there that can also use it, and they can hear this, and I also want to inspire people to create, those who are musicians but don't think they're good enough to create anything. If I can do it, then you can, and I want my stuff to inspire you in that process.
I think it's very, very important. I think that to communicate a solid message, a message of encouragement. I think there's plenty of music out there, regardless of what genre you listen to, from rap to heavy metal, that takes you a place where you don't really want to go. I'm not saying that if you listen to, some sort of secular music that, you're on this pathway that's going to lead you to drugs and addiction and alcohol and hell, but I think that there is some credence, to the fact of what you listen and what you spend your time listening to is going to have an effect on your outlook, on your habits, on your attitude. And so for me, I want to communicate a message, first of all, that's inseparable from Christ, but that secondarily kind of definitely communicates something that's positive, something that has a positive outlook on life, something to hold on to, perhaps.
Last semester, there's a thing at Evangel called Harvest Fest, and it's basically a big variety show, and with skits, bands, videos, everything. And we wanted to do a song that, well, actually, John Tharp, who was the bass player for this, while Ginger here, played some sexy acoustic guitar. And it was kind of like a makeshift band with Chestnut on drums, obviously Dallas singing, playing piano, me on electric. And so that was really what jump-started this whole thing. We wanted to play a song that was fit the theme, and it just so happened that my brother had been going through a tumor, and like all the repercussions of that. And so we picked Man Against the World, which just like symbolizes someone who feels like the world's against them and they're just going at it full force. And what's really interesting is shortly after we played that, Chestnut's girlfriend had, well, if you want to go into detail.
Yeah, well, basically she had been sick for a while, all summer leading into it, and she ended up having a stroke while she was in the hospital in Wichita. And she had to have emergency brain surgery, and it was just kind of, it was not the same situation, obviously, but similar to Coniff's brother, Daniel, and just having to, face the odds, of recovery and just everything that was going on with that, and trying to get back to 100%. And it was just kind of, I don't know, not really ironic, but just interesting that we had just performed a few weeks prior, and dedicated that song to his brother, and then that all this stuff happened to her. And so shortly after that, while she was in the hospital, I came up with the piano riff in the chapel of the hospital for Beside You, and Coniff had written some lyrics. I'm not sure if they were in the summer or last semester while he was at home with his brother, and we hadn't really told each other about the two things, and we came together and we wanted to write a song that kind of encompassed, like our own song, that kind of encompassed both those situations. And just so happened that the riff that I came up with on piano and the song that I had written there fit really well with the lyrics that he had come up with that kind of encompassed both his brother and Brittany. And it just worked out really well. And so one afternoon we just sat down, I recorded all the piano tracks for it, and progressively kept adding things on, and we just came up with the song.
I was sitting in my bed ready to fall asleep over Christmas break, and these lyrics just came to me. And so I whipped out my phone, typed them in, and then I sat for 15 minutes and tried to come up with an acoustic part or some sort of guitar part that would go with them, and I just couldn't think of anything. But it was about my brother and how I wanted him, because when you go through what he's gone through with a tumor, not being able to swallow, not being able to walk, it's just depressing for him and for the rest of us to watch. And so I wanted to write something that was just kind of like an anthem for him to carry on, keep pushing on, even though the times now it's dark. It'll be there's light at the end of the tunnel, as cliche as that is, and that I wanted him to push on. And so I wrote these lyrics and then took it to Chestnut earlier this semester, and he put this piano part that he'd written about Brittany with it, and they fit perfectly, and it was quite amazing. And so we wrote this entire song about that.
My main task was helping with the music and helping to formulate that. And I think a lot, especially on Beside You, the piano part, I wrote it in the chapel of the hospital while Brittany was in the hospital, and just that moment where I was in there by myself, just playing and obviously praying for her healing, and just the truth of that moment by myself, everything just kind of came out in that sound. And I'd say just my, the moment where I was basically on my knees, begging God for a miracle, and it just coming through in the form of music, not necessarily lyrics, but just the way that was able to come through was probably the best thing that I've put forth on the album.
Yeah. And kind of what Chestnut was talking about, our songs do personify this huge thing, and I think at the same time, songs like Beside You are communicating what we are actually going through and that other people go through, and I think we can connect to the audience in that way, and that they can enjoy music like that. I think specifically with this album, when I'm singing the lyrics, we wrote that we want to communicate that there is a real life that everyone's living. It's difficult, everyone has different experiences, yet we can relate. And I think when people listen to our music, they'll be able to relate to that there are difficulties, but there is hope. And specifically, I would want to always communicate how God can help you and bless your life. That's really what I want. But with this album, there's so many dynamic parts in each song that people can feel emotion from beside you. Just very real experience with tampering with death. I mean, sickness. People experience that, and songs like Nebraska Gambler, wanting to be something huge and awesome. Everyone wants that. And so I want to connect people, and I want them to feel our music and be able to express themselves and be creative like we are. If they want to sing, if they want to play, you don't have to stick with one genre like a lot of bands do. You can do what we do and just freestyle.
Nebraska Gambler has been quite an interesting ride. We're definitely doing things differently than normal bands, but the way we've approached this was really more inspired by people I know. I have a producer friend in Indiana, and so for us it was easier to write our own stuff and then record rather than play shows first. For starters, I wish I could get this guy on it more. He's incredibly busy with baseball and
Double majoring, yeah. Well, for me, it's like the whole process probably of, being able to be involved in the whole process would be something I would do differently. Because for me, it's more like me sitting in my room studying or doing something and then hearing, the production going on, and either, Chestnut's room lives next to me or down the hall, and be like, that sounds awesome! I love this! But I can't really, I just have to wait to be told what to do and what to play. So for me, that would definitely be something, to change and do differently. But definitely the funnest part is just being able to see this whole thing come together, I think. And it's like we get our material from just what is happening to us. We're writing down what's going on, in our lives, and whether it's just having fun with the Nebraska Gambler or rocking out to Levels of Battle, or to actually just writing down, the struggles that we're going through with beside you and everything. It just kind of flows out, and for me, it's been awesome to be just a part of something that came together just really pretty easily and flows, pretty smoothly for the most part. So
the best part is we're all we're not obviously world-class musicians, but we're all good enough in our areas that we don't have to literally be practicing 24/7, that we know what we have to learn, and we can just put that together when it needs to. And so like Ginger here, he's actually a really good guitar player too, and so it's easy for him to hear this stuff and then apply it to bass, I think. And same with Muench. Actually, he wrote the hardest song on the album.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
And then Chestnut and I play together at North Point Church, and we're we come together quite well, and it's we're both at a level where we don't need to just sit down and practice all the time together. And what would be nice to do differently is if we just had the time to come together and practice more.
And I think the number one struggle, we haven't had a lot of struggles, but the number one thing is everybody being together at the same time, right now. This is a rare occasion when we're not performing on stage. But, these guys play baseball, and, Muench has different things going on with school, and, we always have different things going on, and it's hard to be together. And so we end up recording separately and performing live on stage together.
Yeah, it's just been such a great blessing to have these guys, become some of my best friends, and to be able to do this whole project, this whole thing with them has been great. Learning stuff about each other.
I'm just super thankful for this experience, and it's just a fun, random, and unexpected thing that happened this year that I had no idea I would even know these guys, you know, at the beginning, and it was just something different that I hadn't really done before. And it was just really, really fun.
My mom gave me music, my dad gave me music, and my mom passed away 4 years ago. And that has been a huge part of writing this, is that she gave me the gift of music. I can express it through these lyrics and in this band, and other people will be able to receive it. That in itself is very fulfilling.
The name is super awesome. Like, I remember we were trying to come up with it, and the name is so sick. Like, we were like, what's the most bad, like, bottom thing we can come up with? And we all, like, watch Walking Dead. Hopefully you guys are fans.
Yeah.
If you're not fans of Walking Dead, you can't be fans of Nebraska Gambler.
You should be.
But we were like, you know, what's the most just awesome name we can come up with? And there's an episode in season 2
In fact, it's
of Walking
entitled
Dead.
Nebraska.
It's called Nebraska. And Rick, the main character, is just talking to this guy, and he to end the conversation, he's like, I hear Nebraska's nice, shoots the guy in the head. And so that was like, it's the most like awesome scene of the series. And like,
They're just
Gambler
sitting in a bar, and he meets like 2 people, and you know can't really trust them, and so it's just a quick draw, and after that it was your quintessential, like, not cowboy I guess, but like just like gunslinger duel type thing, and so like
we knew it was it.
that was where the Nebraska came from, and then Gambler is just, like I said, it's just this edgy sort of thing that, and I mean everybody when you're young wants to be this crazy like superhero or like awesome bad guy, and that's kind of like Nebraska Gambler. This is, and that it kind of personifies that a bit. So.
There's no dispute. It's like, yeah, that's it.
That is the name.